I would like to thank LCI, including all the individuals that volunteered their time to review all the amazing projects submitted. The Joan and Sanford I, Weill Neurosciences Building serves as the headquarters for the UCSF Weill Institute for Neurosciences. This building unites departments of neurology, psychiatry, behavioral sciences, and neurological surgery. It promotes scientific and clinical collaboration and drives advancements aimed at new treatments for disorders of the brain and nervous system such as multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, and Huntington's disease, to name a few. The project team procurement involved a best value selection that is unique for public projects and was delivered with the STEAM at Risk agreement. While we lacked a true IFOA, we did integrate many IPD requirements within the STEAM at Risk agreement, such as A3 thinking, working in a co-located big room environment, and last planner system, to name a few. Dedicating 4 years of our lives working on a project that focused on brain health challenged the project team to reflect on our own mental well-being. When we think about job site hazards or safety, physical health are likely what first comes to mind. But what about the other dangers that are daily risk? The construction industry ranks second highest in suicide rates among major industries. While regulation and monitoring for physical safety have increased dramatically over the years, mental health care lags behind. The construction industry as a whole needs to work on improving mental health outreach and support, but that can only take place one job site at a time. Changes like that start with people like you and me. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Susan Napier, Vice President, Science and Technology Studio Lead for SmithGroup.
Good morning, thank you. The design vision of this project really centered around the idea of celebration of light. We're human beings, we really need light to not just live and survive, but to excel. So we wanted to celebrate that light, bring it through the building, condition it, soften it, to create an environment of well-being for not just the patients who came to the facility, but the researchers and staff and the clinicians who work there. Shawn spoke a bit about some of the lean principles that we used. I will say I think the two that were most critical and useful in changing how we worked was the lean training that we went through. We had an 11-week training process, but most importantly, we worked in a big room. And when you get to experience the working of a big room and your plumbing detailer is sitting next to your junior architect, it's amazing the transformation and the learning that can happen within. We had a lot of stakeholders involved in this process. We had 28 user groups. We had 14 stakeholders, including fire marshal, EH&S, facilities, and many others. And we had very engaged donor who really wanted to see a high quality of product. So that helped us to understand our distinguishing features of work. I'll point to two. One was about seismic resilience. The university was really looking for best value in this process. And so they understood if they elevated their seismic criteria one tier, it would help protect the very valuable research and clinicians within. The second one was around quality of finishes. The donor was really interested in the beautiful, detailed, great materials, but how they were also installed and put together. And lastly, it goes on team motivation. How does one get the most out of their people and help them have fulfilling lives? We're talking a lot about that here at the sessions. And celebrate often. Celebrate at every single milestone. When you get a permit, when you top out, when it's Thanksgiving. We had annual potluck Thanksgiving. DPR hosted Cinco de Mayo parties and holiday parties. And we had Spark nearby that was a food truck area that many of us would go to after work and just have an amazing sangria with friends. And it really helped to develop long-lasting friendships between the companies, 120 companies, 100 people in this big group at any one time. But secondarily to that was Shawn established some lunch and learns, and this brought the clinicians and the researchers together to the big room. They talked about the science that they were doing, the cures that they were investigating, the people that they were already starting to cure from these horrific brain diseases, and that was by far the biggest motivator of this whole project. And it elevated this concept around light and well-being to really a place of hope. So we feel really proud of this place of hope. We thank everybody for this honor. Thank you.